What is phenomenology? Phenomenology is the belief that phenomena do not exist in isolation of their observers, and that each person creates their own world moment by moment, through interaction with phenomena. As a research tradition, phenomenology is focused on the experiences of the humans involved in an event, rather than the metrics of the object or event itself. The data of these experiences is extracted through, mostly, interviews, which are then analyzed with a semiotic focus. The phenomenological research method is not like traditional research that purports objectivity, rather it is concerned with the human social world and seeks to not only acknowledge, but also integrate subjectivity into research. The relationship and interaction between the researcher and the subject is considered primary data and therefore part of the research. Because the relationship between the researcher and the subject provides context for the data gathered, and the interview is more organic and conversational to allow the participant to more fully communicate their experiences, or to draw out more detail about a specific question, there is resistance to prescribe a step-by-step method. To illustrate this methodology, my good friends Jordan and Colin have agreed to record mock interviews on each other, on the subject of working while doing a master's program.
Hey, Colin, thanks for taking your time and coming in today. I assume you read through all the paperwork and it all made sense to you?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we're just really looking to learn a little bit about how master's students are doing in their master's degree. Do you mind if I ask you a couple questions about that?
By all means.
Awesome. First question is, can you describe how doing a master's has affected your work practice?
Yeah, I find that with my work, I feel because I've switched industries recently and working with computers, I did, I had some paperwork that said I knew what I was doing about 20 years ago. So it's a bit of catch up, blowing the dust off some of those skills. So I find that I don't have the time after work and outside of work to kind of do the brush up kind of reading about internet programming and all that kind of thing. So I try and, because I'm just working 3 days a week, I try and use those days to focus on work. But then the days I'm not working, I just try and put all that time into my master's. But of course, because Cheryl is working full time, it kind of puts a little bit more of the driving and the cooking and the laundry on mine.
That's interesting that you bring up Cheryl there. Have you found that you both doing your master's at the same time has been difficult or a challenge at all?
Yes and no. That's a good question. I mean, having someone right across the hall from you to ask a question, like with this kind of COVID, it's pretty tough not being around people and being in the same room. So just having that ability to go, did you know what John was talking about, or what was the question that Wendy asked we were supposed to be thinking about, has been really helpful. But at the same time, of course, when due dates come close, it's kind of hard to, we order in a lot, let's just put it that way.
Get the dishes is doing well.
That's right.
Sort of building on what you said there, how you're having to learn some of these new skills. How do you see yourself today in terms of your own sense of the quality of your practice and the quality of the work that you do?
If anything, I'd say it has a positive effect because we are so steeped in the concepts of self-reflective practice, that I find that just kind of, and even kind of leadership things and they were looking at, because, as we kind of learned and have talked a lot about, leading is not just, it's not just being the boss, it's working with other people. So just having that reminder every couple of weeks, we're in class and talking about this and reading about this. So I think overall, it's probably had a positive effect. Also, I like the brain work. It tends to give me energy, so.
Did you notice how Jordan picked up on Colin mentioning his wife, Cheryl, who is also in the program, and directed his next question to gain more insight into how Colin is experiencing the phenomena of working and going to school? Also of note was Colin's mention of self-reflective practice. Jordan did not begin his phenomenological research with specific themes in mind, and picked up on this theme from reviewing the interview. Let's listen to some of Jordan's interview.
Can you please describe how a master's has affected your practice, like your teaching practice, whether that's preparation, in-class methods?
I think the biggest thing for me in terms of my current work practice is my time management, in terms of recognizing that I can't be super lazy with my classroom work and let it sort of overflow into my weekends, which I had kind of gotten used to, because that creates problems trying to stay on top of things for the master's degree. I think a really like practical thing that I've noticed is I'm starting to go into school really early and come home right after school and be working on master's things in the afternoon. Whereas in the past, I would probably stay at school and work into the evening instead of going early in the morning. So that's been a pretty significant change, waking up quite a bit earlier.
Any particular difficulties or challenges that you've experienced in any area of your life, or just balancing in general?
Yeah, the balancing's been tough. The master's work and the school work, I tend to have the personal problem where I want to just like kind of fully invest in one thing and not balance two things at once. And so I find myself often quite frustrated that I don't put more time into the masters or more time into the classroom, and that I'm splitting them. So I think probably a moment that came to a head for me was, I think the weekend before handing in our literature review to Sean, that I sort of panicked a little bit because I had a bunch of marking and a bunch of school stuff to do that I'd left kind of going to my old patterns of, oh, I can do this Sunday before the week starts. And then realizing, oh no, I've got to write more on Sunday and I've got to read some more articles. And I sort of had a little, not a panic attack, but got really stressed out, really worried, more so than I needed to be. And that was unpleasant.
So is there anything that you'd change about yourself or your habits, or anything that you'd like to, if you could wave a magic wand?
One big thing that will make a difference for me over the next year and a half of this program is being more on it with the time management, and really like sitting down at the beginning of a semester like this one and realizing, okay, here's what I need to do. Here's a good way to get started on it. Don't wait 48 hours before it's due to look at it. And sort of those bad habits that I developed in university, which I could get away with because I basically lived in the library, they don't really work so much anymore when I'm here at home and I don't really have a printer and I print everything at work and it's a Saturday night and something's due tomorrow morning. It's like the procrastination is starting to really rear its ugly head, when in the past it hasn't. So I think my goal is to get a lot more punctual with my own homework.
It's important to note that even in these short interviews, themes emerged naturally. The data is then explicated for meaning. This can occur in different forms as there is no prescribed method for phenomenological research. One way to work with all the data is to use software such as NVivo. NVivo allows you to transcribe interviews, bracket text units to isolate themes, and represent themes graphically, such as with a word cloud.